I'm glad you're here today. We're going to talk about magnesium and how a magnesium deficiency can actually be really dangerous. You'll find out why in this video. And of course, you'll also learn what you can do about it. Let's start by talking about what magnesium actually does in the body. It's pretty amazing. Magnesium is responsible for or involved in over 400, some sources even say 500, enzymatic processes in our body. And now it gets really exciting. Without magnesium, the production of adenosine triphosphate, which is our body's own energy, is not possible at all. And another thing, magnesium is the counterpart to calcium and it relaxes the muscles. And that's why it's very important that we have enough magnesium when someone is in pain. Because we know that pain is caused by increased muscle tension. And magnesium is also important for healthy bones, but also for an extremely well-functioning immune system. For a heart that is strong enough, because the heart is also a muscle, for all the muscles we have in our body. So you can see that magnesium is something we should definitely have enough of in our bodies. So what are the reasons for a magnesium deficiency in the first place? There are acute situations like vomiting, or if you have a chronic diarrhea condition or irritable bowel syndrome. Or also because you sweat a lot, maybe because you have a fever, or because you've been going to the sauna very often. Also because you've been exercising a lot. These are also reasons why you might need more magnesium. By the way, it's completely normal to have an increased need for magnesium when you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Of course, a constant reason for magnesium deficiency is a diet low in magnesium. And by the way, you'll find out what that looks like later on. Or rather, what is a magnesium-rich diet? By the way, magnesium deficiency can also occur due to certain medications, especially diuretics, which are prescribed for high blood pressure. But also if you consume too much alcohol and if you take too many drugs, which unfortunately can also happen, that also uses up a lot of magnesium. And that's why you might want to have it checked to see if you have enough or not. You probably want to know now, how can I actually tell if I have a magnesium deficiency? So how does it show itself? By the way, the symptoms of a magnesium deficiency are similar to those of a potassium deficiency. That's also a very important electrolyte, and they have a lot in common. So let's start with symptoms that maybe everyone knows, and that could possibly be caused by this. It's like this exhaustion. Everything becomes too much. You don't feel like doing anything anymore. You just feel really unmotivated. But you might also have trouble sleeping even though you're tired, and you're also less resistant to stress. So if you get annoyed more easily, that could also be a sign of a magnesium deficiency. And being more susceptible to infections, that's also a sign of it. And what's really important, there are people who are very, very sensitive to cold. And that's very often a sign of magnesium or even potassium deficiency. By the way, what you probably think and what you already know is cough and, in general, muscle cramps that can occur with a magnesium deficiency. And by the way, they can also often occur at night in bed. But maybe you also know this, when you have a twitch in your eye that keeps twitching, or here at the mouth that keeps twitching, those are also signs of a magnesium deficiency. And that's this tendency to have cramps or these tics. That has something to do with it, because the communication between the nerve and the muscle is disrupted. Because magnesium is exactly responsible for this control between the nerve and the muscle. Exactly that. The innervation happens, meaning this signal comes and then the muscle should either relax or contract. When magnesium deficiency disrupts this, we experience these symptoms. Another very typical sign of magnesium deficiency is this tingling sensation and numbness, especially in the fingers or in certain muscle groups that are often tense when you're under stress. So those are also very typical symptoms of magnesium deficiency. And if you have them, just see if you can get rid of them. By the way, the normal daily requirement for magnesium is between 300 and 400 milligrams. But there are situations and illnesses where you should definitely take additional magnesium. I also take the same amount again, between 300 and 400 milligrams. For example, in cases of high blood pressure or if you have a heart that isn't working optimally. But also if you suffer from a lipid metabolism disorder or if you have arteriosclerosis. That means deposits in the blood vessels, especially around the heart. With adult onset diabetes, with diabetes mellitus, it's very important because it actually improves your metabolic condition. And studies have shown that people who have diabetes suffer much less from the complication of blindness. If you should also take magnesium in addition, it's recommended for all neurological diseases like Parkinson's, but also multiple sclerosis. For age-related dementias, please also use it, even if it's in the early stages. Of course, it's extremely important, but also for advanced dementia conditions. And above all, if you believe you need the following medications or if they have been prescribed to you by your doctor. By the way, the pill is included in this. Taking the pill often leads to a magnesium deficiency, but this also happens with blood pressure lowering medications, because they are usually combined with a diuretic. And also, if you suffer from constipation and often take laxatives, it can also be that you have too little magnesium. And in addition, an optimal magnesium level is simply really preventive and effective. Yes, and if you don't know where your symptoms are coming from and you really want to check whether you are suffering from a magnesium deficiency, then please have your magnesium level tested in whole blood. And the level should be between 0.65 and 1.05 nanomoles per liter for an adult. Definitely not below that, and ideally right at the upper limit. And then you know that at least you're relatively well supplied. However, I want to point out again that nowadays we know that you only actually see deficiencies in the blood when the normal level is actually below 50%. That means you still have a normal level in your blood for a long time, whereas in your cells, your magnesium may already be reduced by 50%. So, from that perspective, you could basically say that it doesn't hurt anyone to take an additional 300 or 400 milligrams of magnesium every day. So, you can take magnesium, preferably together with potassium as a dietary supplement, and ideally in the form of a citrate. That's the option you have. Of course, you also want to know which foods contain a lot of magnesium, and that's where high-quality plant-based foods play a really great role again. You can find magnesium especially in nuts, but also in legumes like lentils, peas, beans, and chickpeas. And whole grain products are also valuable sources of magnesium. But you can also find it in spinach, kohlrabi, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, and also in fruit, especially in berries, particularly raspberries, but also in bananas, apricots, peaches, and so on. So these are all wonderful, valuable sources of magnesium. Now finally, at the very end, maybe you've already heard that you really should have enough vitamin D and of course that you should also supplement it. And you've heard that the combination with magnesium and also vitamin K is supposed to be better for vitamin D. Is it true or not? Yes, it's true. When you take vitamin D, you should definitely also take magnesium and vitamin K because it increases the effect of vitamin D in the body. So now you know a lot about why magnesium is so important. If you want to learn more about magnesium, you can read about it here in my book. And now I have a request for you for those who have already read this book and know it. And if you think it's really wonderful, just like I do, I would be so happy if you could write a review. So I would be very grateful to you for that. And otherwise, until next time, I wish that you make some progress with your magnesium balance. And of course, I wish that you stay healthy until then. Yes, and if you want to see more of my videos, you can do that here, and here you can subscribe to my channel. Bye.